Hello, everyone.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear?
Okay. Just trying to make sure.
Right. Yes, that was a good event last week. I still have to catch up on all the videos.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over though. I am tired.
Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay, are you good with running the meeting? Or is it? I think it's very early in California time. Probably kind of give it a 1 more minute or so.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep, I
Yeah.
can.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Word.
Yeah, I was asking Jay if you wanted to run the meeting today.
Oh, yeah, sure, I got it.
Yeah. I can scribe, but I put up the agenda so folks can kind of like mark themselves present.
And I'll type in as, but don't make me primary scribe because I can't spell.
All right, I'll do the primary scribing.
Cool. We'll give people a couple more minutes to join them. See how many we have on the call already. We only got 4 of us. Let's give people some more time to join, give them a couple more minutes, and then we'll get started.
We'll grab some tea. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
You guys will get me handling this meeting from the treadmill. This is prime. This is prime.
Get
This is
us
prime
going.
workout hours. This is workout hours. So you got me on. You know, these open stuff meetings got me early in the morning. This is got to keep myself in fight and trim. Can't do, you know, can't have both ends here. Yeah, I multitask.
I just think this is Christine showing how much faith she has in you. And I think that's how you should look at this. Am I
How much
wrong?
faith she has? How much faith she
Yes.
has in me?
Yep.
Oh, come
Your ability to multitask and be
Come on now.
efficient.
Christine already knows how I get down. This ain't about faith. She already knows how I get down.
Yeah.
She's
yeah,
giving
he
you a
gets
chance to
things
display these great skills. You do both.
done. We haven't done
any
the treadmill
meeting-
test yet.
Actually, that's not true. At any meeting I have in open SSF that happens before 9 a.m., 9 times out of 10, I'm working out while I'm in the meeting. I'm
Oh, really?
talking to you while I'm actively training. Yeah. Yeah, we do this. And Nicole knows all too well about how we do this. Yeah. Yeah, she knows already.
He's just saying that because we're unofficial brother sister organizations. That's all that is.
Gotcha.
Mhm. She knows how the bros get down. You know what I mean? All right, we got 1 minute. We'll start in 1 minute. Excellent. All right. Good morning, peoples. Education SIG DEI subcommittee meeting. A few items on the agenda today, and I'm not sure if they're actually written in here. Give me a second. Yeah, we just have welcoming new friends, scribing. We already got someone to scribe. collect any opens. We do have a few opens here. A Crow won't be here. Kanban board, and then our feedback roadmap, and then town hall. So those are a couple of items that are in the opens. As for agenda items, that we didn't have anything written down here. I will say this: town hall, that's important, and the upcoming Open SSF Day, CFP. I don't think that's dropped yet, but those two items are of particular importance for today, along with some of the due-outs we had from our last meeting. To get those hot ticket items out of the way, we did the CFP for the Open Summit. As far as the Town Hall and Open SSF Day are concerned, Town Hall is March 16th. They need to put that out publicly still. It only went to the working group leads and the TAC. This is an opportunity, and I think if I saw, it was like 3 to 4 contributors to speak during the town hall about things that are going on across the Open SSF. That might be an excellent opportunity if any one of us are participating across all different working groups to go in there and speak about the things that are going on, maybe how those things cross-pollinate and work together. As soon as they put that out to everyone, we'll be able to properly think and guide on that, because I think it's up to the working group leads because of the way they put it out.
So I think what's important for that, so that we're ready and primed for that, because I can tell you occasionally from Linux Foundation, those CFPs are quite whispered into the wind. So we'll pay attention to it, but we should leave this meeting with 1 to 2 like abstract titles that we can agree on, that we proposition in the next opportunity to say this is what we want to put forward. Because the second we can get time on this, I think that's the right spot to do it, and we want to guarantee it.
Yeah, the town hall, I think I think we only got like 15 minutes on the town hall, maybe that. And I'm not even sure if we have that long for the town hall, only because they're looking for something from each working group. I'm not terribly sure because they didn't put it out to everybody, so we don't have a lot of time.
So
as far as Open SSF Day, though, you're absolutely right.
Well, what I'm asking you to think about this as is the town hall is a great opportunity to give your elevator pitch about what you're working on and why people should focus on it and why they should come and view it again when you give your larger speech, right? So don't miss this opportunity, but focus on how you're going to represent this entire group when you're speaking to that. We can move forward with that and give it power.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. That's why I said at the working group level, because for instance, inside the best practices working group, if you, and I don't know if you were in that meeting before, but there's a whole list of stuff that's worked on in that working group, right? And if you have like 5 to 15 minutes, you're not going to be able to focus just on DE&I. You're going to focus on DE&I, SKF, everything else, saying, hey, this is the things that we're doing in this working group, come be a part. And it's going to take maybe 5 to 10 minutes to talk about those things individually. That's why I'm not terribly sure how they want to do it, but I keep it in the back of our minds, and just in case. For Open SSF Day, though, that's an excellent opportunity for us in this working group because of what they did last year, right? And I know Christine was there last year with me, and we remember Open SSF Day. They opened up talking about DE&I and Open SSF Day last year. So them doing it again this year, and the fact that they opened up like that, we're now actively doing something very specific around DE&I. That might be an excellent opportunity for us to go in. It may be longer than 15 minutes. We already submitted CFPs for Birds of a Feather, right? For Open Summit. But as far as Open SSF Day, this might be a point of highlight for that. So I want us to think about that as well, right? I'm not, in terms of what we talk about specifically, this might be, Christine and I have been batting around about the land and expand idea behind what we're doing here. We're a subcommittee right now. How do we blow that up, right? And this might be an excellent opportunity on that stage to expand a bit. So we could be thinking about that stuff, that part as well. I'd love to hear some thoughts about that too, because I'm not, I mean, I don't want to, I want to make sure we stay on target with some of the stuff that we're working on right now. We have a 30, 60, 90 that we're actively planning and trying to put into action. I don't want to detract from that an effort to expand, but some ideas on what we could successfully do for Open SSF Day that's different than the birds of a feather that we're doing for the Open Summit.
So can you tell me what you're doing the birds of a feather on? I've missed the last 2 weeks of it.
Yeah, we just we put in a CFP, and this is based on one of our very early conversations where we wanted to go out to the broader community and said, what do you think should be the initiatives that this subcommittee focuses on? So it's an opportunity to hear from them, maybe give them a little bit about what we're thinking about, but it was primarily like, what are your thoughts, and a call to action at the end. Can you come join us so that we would have more people actually contributing to this effort? So that was a twofold: inform, get feedback, and invite more people.
Yeah, so I think, we had this state of open UK thing, and it was interesting. It was run by lawyers and not devs. So it had, but I think having the diversity talk inside of the security room definitely changed the statistics and the vibe, because on that screen they asked, like, in the last 3 years, how many of you have been the minority in a room in either work or at home? And like 30% said they had not been a minority in a room in 3 years, right? So what I'm interested in doing is specifically describing, if we're going for OSSF, we need to describe to them that there are severe security concerns, typecasting kind of development in this role. It's a global security problem, and we have the global engineers to do it. The part of the siphoning that we have from qualified engineers is just deciding not to look where they actually are already. That's my soapbox. But I think I'd like to structure it around seeing if you can get 2 talks around, yes, the work that's specifically being done here, but also can we actually get OSSF to stand up and do a just actual diversity talk here that is separate and actually self-reflects on OSSF and OSSF stats, because CNCF does this and has had a lot of self-reflection, but OSSF has, it impacts the way that we can work within that space.
So you made a great point, and your point, believe it or not, this is something that Christine and I, so if we flash back all the way to last year when Christine and I first sat down about stuff like this, and then of course a couple of weeks ago we said the same thing, and that's actually what I'm alluding to, right? We're at a subcommittee right now, and Christine and I have a conversation saying, well, we need to understand what they're doing at broader Open SSF, and then at the broader LF, what's actually happening around DE&I. And this could be a launch pad. So that's the idea behind that. You saying that is actually to the point. This is a launch pad. What else? Because it can't, right now we're focused on the educational aspects, but you hit on another issue about engineering in general, what's going on field. And now look what we're dealing with, in current times, right? Massive layoffs. Do we know about numbers wise, when it comes to these layoffs, who's getting laid off? Do we have that number, right?
Yeah.
These are broader conversations that we can have internally amongst our group, but we have to make sure we don't detract from the subcommittee's mission, targeting the expansion of our thoughts away. That might be something secondary, right? Stuff that we do after work hours, right? But definitely stuff that we need to be focused on. So when we get ready to talk about it, we have the information that we have the right information to come from, to speak from.
So I think a cool call to action that I think would make sense here. So in like the second pillar of the education mobilization plan, my God, we need acronyms. There's a part in it where we made sure to insert that we're going to do pre and post like hiring statistics. I think establishing and asking that OSSF and Linux Foundation broadly within those statistics for cybersecurity specifically, we ask for some emphasis on diversity and outreach statistics, letting us see more globally. That also, we should open up that discussion, right? It's not just race and gender, it's like retention stats around there, like what kind of person is retained for what kind of time and what role. That's a really cool way to open up the conversation, so the goal here, the call to action makes the other agent responsible, right? So that's our clear ask from them. And that also gives us a good stronghold to have real R&D to communicate the needs as you move forward. So that's my first thought. I think that's a cool one, but I can kind of shut up now because I'm like impressed and excited. And I think y'all are doing something cool.
You know what? I don't. You know what? If you're going to shut up, that's fine. What I would ask you to do along with that is take a pen to paper and everything you just said about the questions that need to be asked, write those down so we can ask them. I think that what you just said is extremely important for us to chronicle so that when we get to that point, we can reach out and ask those kind of questions to get those kind of answers.
Well,
and you guys are about to hear me start breathing a little heavy now because I'm in the middle of my cardio.
So the thing, Max, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say hi everyone. I haven't been here for a while, but it's great to be able to drop back in. I think there's a really big opportunity with this Open SSF Day, but I would actually suggest being a little provocative towards both Open SSF as a whole and Linux Foundation, right? And basically to try to understand what is currently being done across OpenSSF and across the Linux Foundation in terms of addressing DEI. There's plenty of statements on both websites saying that it's important, and there's appetite to empower underrepresented groups, and only together can we have the impact that everyone wants, and all of this good stuff. But I haven't been able to find anywhere any investment being made, any programs being made, any projects being made. I would honestly suggest, Christine, Jay, maybe to reach out to a bunch of people in leadership positions in both organizations, right? And just say, hey, I'd like to interview you for 15 minutes just to understand, what you see as being done to actually move the needle in terms of DEI in OpenSSF. We're in this education subcommittee, and we've got a bunch of things that we're trying to do to make sure that we're going to roll out this education and empowerment in an equitable way. We want to understand more about how that fits in. And the premise for that, those like interview conversations, right, could be that we want to give a talk.
But more importantly, I mean, I will reach out to Brian because we're friendly, but Brian can't say no. If you say, hi, I intend to submit an abstract covering this topic, I'd like to make sure I get all of what OSSF is currently working on.
Exactly. Right. Same for LF. I don't want to go in and say I can't find anything on the website without making sure we've had a conversation and I can really understand what the program of work looks like. One, because I want to give a talk mapping cold spots that we're looking to address with this subcommittee. And two, because I want to make sure any investment that we pitch for and activities we do is in concert with the bigger picture, right? What a shame if we're investing in this in 3 different places. That would be very inefficient. I think it's all coming from a perspective that not enough is being done and there isn't enough action being made. When you think about the amount of money that OpenSSF has, we should be pitching for like $5 million here.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll put it like this. I've asked about the OpenSSF. We know what we're doing in the OpenSSF. This subcommittee is what we're doing in the OpenSSF. We talk about it. This subcommittee is the only thing that's acting in the OpenSSF. As far as the LF is concerned, that's a larger animal.
Can I? I mean, I know it's your cardio, but look, here's the way that you need to think about it. Is the organization only willing to invest the free time of minorities into diversity? If so, then they are doing less than nothing. They're wasting everyone's time on this call. Correct. This should not exist if there's no action taken by the larger body. You are here to advance the larger body.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's intent.
Yeah.
There's intent.
Yeah.
And it's up to us as the volunteers to provide the mechanisms by which the intent is executed. And that's what we're doing. We're starting off small, right? Land and expand.
Initial request,
LF is,
it should be R&D. It should start with OSSF. But again, we're making the same argument for like tracking.
well, it was so across the LF though, remember there's a lot of different projects going on across the LF.
Things for.
And each project, they got different DE&I stuff going on within those.
Yeah.
So to understand what the LF at that broader level is doing, I mean, you have to be able to go in and say, well, do they have a scope into each respective project or what each respective project is doing? How does that get reported up? And then in aggregate, how are those things being exploited towards a larger effort being pushed down by the LF?
Yeah. So
That's,
I will state one thing. It's going to be, so the reason why it's very hard to get diversity stats around the developer side is because those, like the functioning, the middle layer of it being open source and an open economy makes getting those statistics very hard. Hiring statistics, we can get good data out of and also make an argument for money from corporations that are under delivering around those quotas or would like to over deliver on those quotas if we're going quota based. However, on the open source side, I can't get DE&I stats at the Linux level. We're talking almost every language represented. Every single language has its own priorities and culture, own ways of delivering information, and some of them don't track any of this information at all. And they're not going to. So Linux Foundation can't provide those stats. I have reached that to the end of the world, and I have an understanding of why we can't get that. We can start working on that. You can work with like Python Foundation to get you excellent statistics, but that's a different foundation. LF cannot get those. It's not where it's working. We can partner with other groups, but I think we need to have those stats. I just can tell you we cannot get them out of LF because of the way that it's structured.
okay.
Yeah.
So what are some suggestions for getting those stats in? I mean, I don't want that to be a stopgap, right? We can't get them out of LF. Okay.
Yeah.
Shrug the shoulders.
Yeah. So my
I have a,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just real quick. Who's the pinpoint for LF that would be responsible for keeping those DEI stats? Is there not a group or in pulling that information from everyone, or would this be the closest thing to that? That's just my question.
That's a great question. I'm not terribly sure there is one specific entity in the LF to pull that stuff. That's a great question.
Was
That
anyone
question
able to
deserves an
connect with Hillary Carter, because she's a fairly new SVP of Research and Communications for the whole Linux Foundation, and
Yeah.
will definitely be able to point us
Yeah.
in the right direction of all of the data available.
So Hillary Carter and Jessica something, I think this is the same Hillary, they were in charge of the DE&I does have this like report that they put out once a year. So they put out, but you can look at that. And I think actually this is excellent. So in writing up the call to action, let's read through the most recent report and state what stats we would have liked to have, because you'll find it very wanting. I haven't looked at the latest report, but they haven't been doing this too much. So I need to read through this. Hey, infographics, that's great.
Yeah,
This will
that's
give
actually perfect.
this will give you the flavor for what they actually can source from their level. And then if you want to, and this is actually really interesting, this is like somebody's PhD if they want to hit this, but diversity and inclusion across languages is radically different. But there are some, like CNCF for Kubernetes is a place where I know they're working on this and have teams around this. Python is a place where they actually carry stats around this, probably in so there are some languages I know where you can get those stats and maybe add to a report, which would be interesting.
That actually sounds really good. I'm gonna go out here and say, please don't put a dissertation on anybody. No,
Yeah, I agree.
no one needs that smoke. No one needs that smoke. Okay, just maybe a blog post or something like that. No one needs a whole dissertation. Jesus. Heat on. All right, good. So we got some really good suggestions there. Shorten the shot group up to a couple of key action items here. So one of the action items I hear, reach out to the LF. We have 2 individuals in mind to understand what kind of data they have and that they can share. That might be a great place for us to start. Connect with Brian to see, hey, at a lot, and not just OpenSSF, what are we doing, but OpenSSF, hey, we have this subcommittee. How can we expand in the areas that might be helpful to the broader OpenSSF to force some of these issues, right? So those 2 items, if we do those 2 items here in the next, by the next meeting, we're happy, right? 2 action items, knock those out. Everything else that dominoes from that, we can scale as we go. Let's not do too much.
No, but this is such timing because Brian Dunneldorf was just at this Open UK thing and I had the keynote before they were on a panel with me.
Mhm.
And I was like, one of my top 3 security concerns in the world right now for open source is the fact that security is not globalized, as it is, that we don't allow a global population of non-specifically Western corporate entities to participate. That's a security concern because they're out there anyway, right? So let's have jobs, which is interesting. So we got to have a real honest talk about the way that security and basically globalization are intersecting. And I think Brian's really ready to have that conversation because now he understands that it's a security concern, not just a DE&I concern. It never has been. It's a real concern.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so we have that. Let's see, when we talked about OpenSSF Day, are there any opens? I didn't, outside of that, are there any additional opens? I mean, we've covered a great deal, and even talked about other stuff. What else we got?
We do, and one of them's on me. It's our list of organizations. And I do have a couple of questions with it. As I've been going through it, I realized some things that I just want to make sure of so that I can add it and it be a little bit, I guess, more inclusive. So when we're looking at underrepresented groups, are we focused on those organizations that operate within the US or worldwide?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think
I can answer it a little bit. The Linux Foundation is overrepresented in the leadership as American primarily.
She there?
the cell just freeze up.
Okay, I
Okay.
was trying to make sure it wasn't me.
Yeah, our internet's not working so well here in England at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see if Sal could jump back in. But that's
Yeah.
actually a great question.
But their mission.
Are you back? So,
There she is. Sal, you back?
oh, froze again. I know that even in the document that Max sent, there was a comment in there from Emily about not just focusing just on the US and in terms of like diversity, thinking about diversity in other lenses like neurodiversity. So
Yeah, so that leads to question number 2, right? Because I at least want to make sure when we have a working draft that we've at least kind of, because I need to add that in the scope of this. So if other people have organizations, it's clear to add to the list, but making sure I'm covering when we say diversity, all of the groups that we're covering as far as diversity, right? I just want to make sure I'm not leaving anyone out, right? So and that's why that first worldwide, because that impacts which groups we're talking about, right? Versus within the US or set countries. So I will start with taking a stab at it, but I will kind of leave it open just based off of what we use here in the US. So I mean, I'll just name some groups. In my mind, I'm thinking what's in scope is racial groups. And Yasina's original list, she had a vet group in there. So veterans, disability, you know, just going standard from when you fill out jobs, what's there collected. We actually do, and she actually on her list had a couple of that were like kind of country-based groups. But I think that was focused on operating within the US and worldwide. So I've just kind of left them on there. My bigger thing is just not excluding anyone, right? I'll go after all the groups you tell me to. I just need to make sure I can keep a running list, right? So
I think that the biggest groups typically focused on for DEI initiatives are people who are racially underrepresented. And that varies by country. Like in the US, it's typically the kind of the BIPOC classification. Gender is a big one in tech. LGBTQ plus is a big one in tech. Disabilities is a big one. Neurodiversity is a big one. You know, that's probably covering like most of the focus groups from diversity and inclusion perspectives. I think that it may make sense for us to cast the net slightly wider and think about, you know, wanting to address challenges faced by anyone, you know, who faces systemic bias or discrimination in the technology industry.
Yeah.
Full stop, right? Anyone who self-identifies as being, you know, underrepresented or having faced discrimination, I think is relevant. And I think it's worth expressly calling out a set of specific groups as well. In the UK, there's a list of protected characteristics, which align very closely to those as well.
Yeah, so I think the goal is to ensure that what we're doing is making open content specifically as available as possible. However, right, it is about protected classes. So I'd really recommend that we put on, so this is a part of the education plan where we labeled, in that case, the intent was specifically what partnerships did we actively already have on deck with the people involved that could get something moving. So we need to make a broader statement about what we hope to engage with, and then basically create a matrix of what can we engage with, where do we have high engagement, where can we have the maximum impact, because that describes why you're focusing on one group over another. Maybe because we have specific contacts in them, like, y'all, I can get us the top 50 Native Americans in computer science right away. But if we don't want to put resources towards that right now, I won't do it through OSSF. I'll just do it through another org. It's a matter of where the highest impact would be, and I can't make the claim that that might be the case right now, right? So label down the partnerships that we could have, and then by the partnerships that we can actively engage over, right? What can we deliver on? Make our priorities clear.
Okay, froze again.
All right, so froze
Yes,
again.
we lost
But
again.
I like what
So-
Sal was saying. Look, make the list broad, man. I mean, beast it out. It's a working document, of course, right? We're gonna, as organizations spin up or as we discover news, we can add them to it. But if we start with that spectrum, that's those subject areas, and then we just filter down from there, from all around the world. Doesn't matter where they're at.
I mean, I get that. I just want to make sure I have all that covered on the base document, right? Like, I don't want to say, oh, yes, we're covering neurodivergent, and I need to make sure I have at least one on there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Of course.
But as far as for getting us a base, because what I found looking out there isn't really one good comprehensive list. What I might find in some places, like in LinkedIn, they've done, it's a couple of groups like amongst Blacks, and I'm gonna make it not only Black American, but Black immigrant, and then Black from a global sense. Certain organizations have partnered up and kind of had a list, but then there's 3 or 4 groups like that. I'd say the same thing for Latinas as well. And so I'm just trying to make sure I can get as much as I can get underneath there. And for every category that we say we're trying to reach out, that I have at least one, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, let me put it like this, right? How beautiful would it be? Is, and you know, you said you found different lists in different places. How beautiful would it be is that after we're done, we could put out like a blog or like an article on behalf of the Open SSF where we've done the work.
That's what I'm thinking, because in my mind, when you all told me to do this, I was thinking, okay, maybe this will take me a couple hours one day. And I was like, oh my God.
Okay, literally,
Nah.
that's the advice it's going to give you. Because Nicole, I've been you before, but I've also been here a few years and have managed to retain a real job. This is volunteer, and everyone who
Yeah.
speaks to you within the Linux Foundation knows that it's volunteer. So what we're asking for right now is, yeah, make a mission statement for what our best and noble aims are, and then indicate in action what it is that's in the scope of what you can actually deliver, right? Where are our best contacts with the group that's showing up today? And because we don't have specific people represented today to reach out to those groups and establish those relationships, we'd like to have a good effort to bring those people in. You're not here to do OSSF's full-time DE&I. We're here to highlight where there needs to be more research and more research, right? So yeah.
So I do think, I actually think this list, combined list, is actually a good idea. And then the other thing that I saw was a maturity of organization. There are some organizations that are very organized and have things set up that they just need sponsors. They kind of have their groundwork. And then some are kind of getting up off the ground. So I've tried to highlight what their main functions were under each group, you know, whether it's like mentorship or their focus on skills training, just to kind of help us get an idea of what organizations already have what things in place when we're kind of looking at potential partners, to try and get a grasp on it. But I don't know what our standard thresholds would be. Are we looking at size of people in the organization or number of people involved for how we're addressing it? And I've also highlighted their initiatives where some of them are working with other nonprofits, right? So like if you're looking at mentorship, well, these 3 organizations actually work together for mentorship in tech, right? And cybersecurity is included as part of their focus.
Yeah, I wonder if we just kind of like aggregate all that data as much, kind of like getting like what are the criteria of what we're looking at for, but then at that point where once we kind of see that data, we might be able to make probably a more educated guess on what it is that we are looking to work with. Because it might so seem that based on, if we're looking for someone more mature, like a more mature organization, however we define what that is, there might be places where we can like link them up with some initiatives that almost just need more of a turnkey. So, but just gathering all that information might actually help us make a more
So like, I'll give you an example, like Latinas in Tech, they got chapters, they got boards, they got a full staff, right?
Yeah.
Versus,
yeah,
I'm not going to name another organization. They kind of got a page, and they kind of got a couple corporate partnerships to recruit for scholarships, but they're out there. So that's why I bring up kind of like some of the maturity stuff.
Yeah.
I think collecting it all, especially like, as you had mentioned earlier, if it was a global, you know, if they have a global stance and whatnot, and then we can just, once the list is kind of aggregated together, just look at it and make sure we're tackling, you know, one of each section that we're looking, diversity, racism within the spectrum, and so forth. And then also look at who we can get in contact. Like we might have a list of 20, 25 folks, but at the end, 5 of them just show up to the table to work with us on this. So there's also that to consider.
So yes, so I have I at least start out from the base from which you added in the notes, and then what's on the Open SSF partners. There was a little bit of overlap with that, and then other groups that I found, but I want to make sure I kind of kept how much I could kind of scope some of this, right? So it's enough of what we kind of what we kind of need to know from base points, but not so overwhelming, right? But it's still a lot. So I just want to make sure, because like I don't have any neurodivergent groups, and light on the sexual preference groups. And I know they're out there, but I just haven't. Just trying to make sure I have everything in scope before I drop it in there, because I know other people could look and be like, well, why isn't this on there, that on there? And I just want to make sure, here are the groups. This is what I found. I'm still working on this list. Please add, right?
And you know what? When you put out the list, and if there's something on there and they say, hey, well, why isn't this on there? All you have to say is, well, that's a great question. Maybe it's because you didn't tell me. Now it's on there.
Well, no, you can add it, and there's several organizations there as an example. You add it right on there. This is inclusive, not exclusive, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, once you put that list in there, including the ones that you may not know more about, you can just like do a call to action, or we can just like spread the word and say, okay, could we get more people to just review this list, and these are the gaps that we find. If you know anything, just help us fill it out. So it's okay to just, even if you kind of have the concept of what you want to have, but you don't have the context, that's good enough.
Okay, and then I have a separate sheet for the conferences and which ones are having an impact with there. So it's just organizations, those groups, a key, and then I just need to finish the about with the different groups there where people can add on. Okay, that's my update. I should be able to get something out towards the latter part of this week. I know I said last time, but it was just a lot going through it, trying to get everything.
Nicole, Sal made a great point. These are all volunteer efforts.
Yeah.
And you know, any
point.
work is good work.
I have another point now. This is open source and everyone else is volunteering too. So
Exactly.
if I was you right now, this is how I'd use this opportunity. I'd be like, wow, this is a space where there's a deficit in research across the board. I'm not going to waste my week doing that research by myself. I'm going to go search on LinkedIn and find 6 people, right? I'll give you one name, Nathan Chow, I want to say, expert in neurodiversity and cybersecurity. We'll give you all the resources in less than 10 seconds because, my God, they're on everything. It's so fast. So like, go out and find a couple of key contacts and reach out to me on the Slack. I'll see what I can do to help you. Do it as like a spoke model and reach out to the experts, tell them you need information, get yourself a better network here, but like, don't spend more than 2 hours on this. Find out how to maximize those 2 hours. Otherwise you'll kill yourself with open source volunteerism, and we need you here.
Yeah, you might even be able to recruit a few of them to come on into the conversation. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. We need them represented here. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, we got 17 minutes left in the call. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. I mean, what I'm interested in is the stuff that and I saw Jasenia on Alpha Omega, the college stuff that's supposed to be happening in September. How's that stuff going?
So I actually have a meeting with the professor in Purdue tomorrow, I think it is. And then I'm waiting to hear back from Florida International University. The professor that does like the capstone just told me to reach out to him this week because he was out on vacation to kind of get that started. But outside of that, just kind of trying to get the portal up and running so that, you know, once we do have a pilot group, they have a system that they can use.
Excellent. Man, that's some really awesome work. I gotta tell you, that's some awesome work. I mean, and then anything that this group can do to help with that, please let us know. And also, if there's any type of materials that maybe we can produce or maybe we can help present or something like that, let us know that too. I wouldn't.
I think you lost.
Yeah, we kind of lost Jay for a minute. So Yesenia, this was related to the Alpha Omega project that you're working on, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and if
Gotcha.
you have any connections or know any other universities that you like potentially to partner with, feel free to let me know so I can continue the conversation. I think at first is just trying to get their feedback and idea of best way to approach with the students and drive this, and then potentially do a pilot with 1 to 2 universities.
Nice. Let's make sure we get that down too. So that's another action item. Figure out some other universities that we could give to Jasenia, so that she can pilot the program there as well. That's another action item for us. So when would you or let me put like, when would be the latest that you're taking universities to build a pilot around?
Potentially before their summer program. So March, I'm hoping to start designing out the process and what that would look like from our end. And then in the summer, kind of have those conversations to finalize it with the university so we can get it started in fall, because I know there's a lot of red tape around that in universities.
If you wouldn't mind, then inside the Slack or even in the email group, and I hate doing this to you, but just for memory purposes, because you said March, and that's in a few weeks. Because of all the CFPs and everything else that's occurring for Open SSF Day and Open Summit, maybe a weekly drop on, hey, asking again, any additional colleges you need. I have until this date that I need to collect colleges so I can start building programs around. Something weekly. Doesn't have to be 2 seconds inside the Slack or email chain. Still looking for stuff like that way. That way it stays fresh with us while we're working all these different things at the same time. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we got?
I put in one agenda item, and since Max is here, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it, but before the last meeting, he had put together a working group roadmap, and I have the link in the opens.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, awesome. I'm not going to do the whole screen share thing, but I just I don't know. I guess I was marinating all of the conversations that we had, Christian, from that first kind of conversation that you facilitated, and put some of that together into into a page. I don't know if like a slide roadmap's helpful, or if it's better to keep this all in the docs, and it's probably overlapping a lot with like the 30, 60, 90 stuff. Yeah, just started jotting down some thoughts on what we covered in that first call and prioritizing some of it.
I think this should be for, another call, because we need to tie this roadmap, but we've got the Kanban and we've got this. So I really like this, but that means that it gives us, I'd like to use this to like tie our higher level missions, objectives, things that have KPIs to them. And then we can tie everything that we do in that Kanban board to specific initiatives to demonstrate at a higher level, because those two, we've got everything we need there. So I can help to set that up, but really.
That sounds like a great re-platforming for sure.
Yeah.
Sal, do you think it's going to be easier to get people's comments and input straight into the Kanban, or do we want to give folks a week to drop thoughts into the Slack or into the Google Doc?
Initially, I think this is fine, but if we want to be doing moving work with OSSF, the expectation will be that it's fully visible on GitHub quickly. So we want to make that transition quick. So
that makes sense.
Okay, so Sal, just to correct me, so what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at what is in the slides, because we're going to do this in a follow-up call. That's what you suggested. Just kind of like go do more like a mission work on a follow-up call.
Yeah, so as this moves from being like, as we actually get actions on that Kanban board, the only thing I'm saying is make sure we tie those actions to these like higher level strategic AIMs here. The ones that are specifically the objective for the year, because that just helps us to do, right? It's just auditing basically, and it makes that readable to someone who specifically wants to jump in on the project.
Okay.
All right. Well, 10 minutes left. Do we have anything else we want to cover? We did a lot of good work on this call. We keep throwing stuff out here too. There's a whole bunch of action items we got now for next call. So this is some great work. And once again, thank each and every one of you. I you know, like when we started this, and Christine and I had to start this long ago, it was more like, what was that? Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
I
can
can still hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so we got some great work ahead of us, some great work that we're currently doing. I'm excited, man. I can't thank everyone enough for this, and I can't wait to see as far as we go, how far we can go. As sooner or later, we're going to be asking for a whole lot of forgiveness and not permission to do stuff. I want us to get ready for that. There's going to be a whole lot of forgiveness. Like, please, please forgive. You know, we you know, but we're gonna play the game. We didn't know, but we're gonna be doing some stuff that people might be uncomfortable with, which is always a great place for me to be. I like being in that position. I like being uncomfortable. So there that is.
Okay.
That's when you know you're doing it right.
That's when you know you're doing it right. Absolutely, absolutely. If you don't have one of the moments where you're like, whoo, if you don't say whoo, you're not doing it right. You gotta be able to say it again. You gotta hit that whoo on them. You gotta be able to do that. All right, good deal. 8 minutes left. We can end the meeting now. We can wait another 8 minutes and just gab a little bit. I'll ask Nicole. Nicole, how did I do?
She's
You
quiet.
did okay. You still got some ways to catch up to Christine though.
Just trying to write.
Okay. I got you. Okay. I got to catch up. All right. Word.
Yeah, I heard a little extra breathing in there.
You know, it's all right when you're doing that cardio. I mixed up a protein shake. I had the cardio going. I talked to one of my employees. I did all kinds of stuff y'all didn't even know I was doing. That's all right though. I got to catch up.
All right. Excellent.
All right. Until our next meeting, 2 weeks. 2 weeks we come back. And wait. What is that day in 2 weeks? Today's Tuesday. No. Okay. So we're still good. Next week is the holiday. All right. I just wanted to make sure I get that in my head. Yeah. 2 weeks we come back. Still good to go. Yeah. Talk to everybody then.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.